This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
Meet the computer you can talk to. With Copilot on Windows, working, creating, and collaborating is as easy as talking. Got writer's block? Share your screen with Copilot Vision to help spark inspiration, and use Copilot Voice to have a conversation and brainstorm ideas. Or maybe you need some tech help. With Copilot Vision, Copilot sees what you see. Let Copilot talk you through step-by-step guidance so you can master new apps, games, and skills faster. Try now at windows.com/Copilot.
Hey everyone, it's Anne Foster here, host of the Vulgar History Podcast. I wanted to let you know two things. Firstly, the episode you're about to listen to is available also as a video if you subscribe to my Patreon, which is at patreon.com/AnneFosterWriter for $6 or more a month. You get video content of this and some other episodes. And also until the end of November, I'm having a special Regency-era sale, so you can get 30% off your first year of membership to my Patreon. If you were thinking of subscribing, November is a great time to do it. Again, that's patreon.com/AnneFosterWriter to get the video episodes and 30% off. Enjoy this episode. It's a good one. Hello and welcome to Vulgar History, a feminist women's history comedy podcast. My name is Anne Foster and we are in our Regency era. This season we're talking about the Regency era, which is, if you think about like the Jane Austen times, Bridgerton times, it's like the late 1700s, early 1800s. A lot of the episodes are focused on England, but this week's episode is focused on Ireland. We're talking about Wales. We're talking about the Ladies of Llangollen, and I have a very special guest joining me today. So I'm joined for this very special episode by Katie Charlwood from Who Did What Now? Katie, welcome so much.
Thank you for having me back.
I'm always looking for a reason to bring you back. In this story, I was just saying before we recorded, it's like there's Ireland stuff, there's queer stuff. It's like, this is you. I need you here for this.
This is me. This is me. I'm just waiting for when you have to go on your big tour and you end up over this side of the Atlantic, and then what we'll do is we're going to go to the Caroline of Brunswick in Brighton.
This is a plan we've had for ages, and I am like, we're doing it. We're doing
it. It's like several years in the making. We're like several years into this. We're like,
We're gonna show up at this pub, and it's gonna be amazing. But today there is a little Caroline of Brunswick moment because she was the icon of the Regency, and she connects to everybody. But this story, well, okay, it's the Ladies of, can you say that place name, please, in your beautiful Welsh accent you can put on?
Llangollen, the Ladies of Llangollen.
Somebody out there might be thinking, oh, the Ladies of Llangollen. No. Llangollen is what we say.
And that language is tricky, I find. It's even those, I'm going to do a language bit. So as someone who has to pronounce a lot of words in a lot of other languages, especially place names and surnames, like trying to wrap your tongue around a lot of these, like luckily, because it's one of those sort of Celtic languages, there's certain bits that are easier because that h sound kind of appears throughout, but it's the h to the o, and it's not easy.
I want to say like so much respect to all the Welsh people listening out there. We love your language, we love your accent, and we're here to try to represent you as best as we can. Although the story does not start off in Wales, the story ends up in Wales. But so we're talking about these ladies. We'll talk later about what they look like, which, well, I'll say right now what they look like to me in the most affectionate way possible is they look like Ian Holm in the Lord of the Rings movies, but in a skirt is what they look like to me. They're adorable little Hobbit lesbians.
That is exactly right. I'm sorry. I'm just picturing that as perfect.
That's who they grow up into, but we're going to talk about who they were as young people first. So the ladies themselves, it's Eleanor Butler and it's Sarah Ponsonby. Eleanor Butler. So her family was Irish, but they were living in France in 1739 when she was born because of the whole thing where Protestant English people came into Ireland, and it was not great for Irish Catholic people there.
No, there's a whole thing behind that. So yeah, it all starts with Henry VIII as per usual, because it always. Am I allowed to swear?
Yes.
Okay. Henry VIII, massive prick. He's like, I am now King of Ireland, even though he only had like a little bit of it. And then it was when mainly Mary I started some plantations, followed by Elizabeth, and then James, 6th of Scotland, 1st of England, a man who, I don't trust anybody who writes Bible fan fiction. That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
So we've got this unpleasant situation for people in Ireland. So people with money, like this family, the Butler family, went to France, where it's just a nicer time to be a Catholic person in France.
Because he's the Earl of Ormond, isn't he? The dad.
The dad is the 16th Earl of Ormond, and the mother has a fancy name, which is Eleanor de Montmorency Morris. So they are fancy, rich Irish people.
And they actually have a connection to Anne Boleyn.
Do they?
Because, yes, so gossip. Okay, historical gossip, several hundred years late. So the reason that Anne Boleyn was brought back from France to England wasn't to like put her in front of Henry VIII. No. This was because Daddy Boleyn, he wanted to have control of the Ormond estate. So the Earl of Ormond had his son, James the Lame. He needed a wife. And so their plan was to get Anne married to him, and they would have the Ormond estate, and that he would basically rule it because they shared like a grandmother. And so he thought, I want that. And that was his way of sort of sneaking it in, which is where Anne Boleyn was almost an Irish countess. But then we know what happened after that. But yeah, that's their connection to this story.
Oh my gosh. See, this is where I had no idea. Like, that could be somebody else's like historical fan fiction. What if Anne Boleyn had just gone to Ireland? What would that all have been like?
Yeah. What if she didn't survive the swim? I mean, there's so many things with this, the what ifs in history. I wouldn't have the time to research any of that, but I love the question, and someone else can do it and then tell me.
No, exactly. And so what I want to tell everybody too, just on the hop for this episode about these ladies, is that they grow up and have a lovely relationship. And I don't often have people on my podcast, like topics where it's like, oh, this was a nice relationship. That never happens. And it extra never happens when it's a same sex, like a queer pairing. Like, this is like, I just want to let everyone know, a happy story. So
we're not burying your gays in this one.
No, it's so rare. It's so rare. And I'm so happy to be able to tell this story, because I think a while ago, somebody, a listener was like, oh, it'd be great. Like, could you do more like queer topics, but maybe like ones that don't end terribly? And I was like, love to find one to tell you about. And I found one.
Yeah, because it'd be great, but most of them end up in death. Mean, terrible death.
And even if it's not like some sort of like execution-based mob violence, it's often just like, and then she got tuberculosis at age 20. Like, that's how most stories.
It's always like, it's either tuberculosis or, my personal favorite, all roads lead to dysentery. So,
But these two little hobbits, they fall in love. They have a lovely relationship, and they live to ripe old ages. So just so everybody can know, just like the opposite of a spoiler or of a trigger warning, like just like happy warning. But anyway, so we've got one of these ladies is off in Ireland with her rich Irish family. The other lady, Sarah Ponsonby, was born in 1755 in Ireland. Her parents, there's a lot of names here. I'm going to do my best, and then you jump in and like say them properly. Her father is Chambray Brabazon Ponsonby.
You know what that is? Yeah.
Chambray as a name with an accent.
Chambray.
So this is that's the dad. Her mother is Louisa Lyons. So her mother died, and then like the dad remarried, the wives kept dying, but eventually and then the father dies, I think, as well. Anyway, so she ultimately, little Sarah, is sent to live with her father's cousin, Lady Betty Fownes, in Woodstock in County Kilkenny. Are you familiar with this?
I am familiar with County Kilkenny.
Yeah. Okay. That's why I put that part in there, because it's like just so people can place where this is. So anyway,
I should probably explain actually, because Ireland, you have to imagine, even though it's a very small country, is that each county is like say for example, if someone was from America, they'd be like, I'm from Texas, I'm from, Arkansas. I couldn't remember states there for a full 10 seconds. But no, so like in Ireland, you'd be like, I'm from Donegal. Like me, I'd say I'm from Donegal, and you'll never met anyone from Donegal who isn't incredibly proud to be from Donegal. Like your county is sort of the big deal of where you're from. Like you're from Dublin, you're from Donegal, you're from Galway, you're from, Cork, Kilkenny. Like it's kind of like a state, but except states have their own laws and stuff. But we just follow the one law. But it's kind of being from that county is kind of important. It's part of your sort of I don't want to say personality, but for a lot of people, it is.
No, that's so good to know, because like where I am in Canada, it's just like we have a city and like I'm in a county. I couldn't tell you what it was called, but like the province is what's important. So it's equivalent to that. It's like what province you're from.
Yeah.
Because
we have provinces too, but the county is more important than the province, really.
Okay.
So, yeah, and that's where, like, I was trying to explain this to somebody in France before, because I was explaining that a county was like a French province, and they were like, oh, and I was like, okay, now you understand where we are, like, geographically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But this whole Ireland-based part of this is mostly in Kilkenny. So that's where we are. So shout out to everybody listening from County Kilkenny. So this little girl, little Sarah, she signed up to stay with her cousin, and her cousin was like an adult age person, but she was like devoted to her, which is great. It's not one of those, like, again, there's going to be, dramatic stuff in this story, but at this point, it's the opposite of like a Charles Dickens type situation with like a horrible guardian and a ward. Like her cousin is okay. So she sends her, as all wealthy-ish young women are, to boarding school. To continue her education. And working at the school at this time is Eleanor Butler. Now, is there an age gap? Yes. But are they in love yet? No, because one is an adult and one is a child. So just like, don't worry about it. And what was Eleanor doing there? Working as a teacher? Wasn't she in France? So Eleanor is like, okay, so she's 29, she's unmarried, and she's like she's just a straight up nerd. She's just like, she is not interested in anything except for just like learning things, reading books, being kind of like intense about education and stuff. And so she shows up at the school, and so Sarah at this point is 14 years old. Eleanor is in like her 20s. She becomes her tutor. And as the years go by and, Sarah stops being 14 and becomes a bit older, they develop an intense, I'm not going to say loving or sexual relationship, but just like bond, like a relationship at this point. And then Sarah, she graduates from school and returns to go to Woodstock to live with her cousin Betty. But Betty has this shitty husband, because
What?
A shitty husband?
In the past? I'm shocked. I mean, no, but also then.
Can you believe? So she's, the husband is William, and he is annoyed that Betty has not had a child, in a big Henry VIII vibes, really, where it's just like, baby, like there's two people involved in this failed fertilization. Anyway, so he's just like, I want a male heir. And he's like, well, what if I dump Betty and get together with this sexy young teenage ward? And so he was paying way too much creepy attention to her. And Sarah, to her credit, because, not everybody would speak out when they're being treated in this way. She wrote to him a letter just to be like, just so you know, like, your feelings are not reciprocated. You are a creepy old man. Stay away from me. She wrote, the only things I feel towards you are disgust and detestation.
I love her.
These two ladies, like, this is where you're like, okay, they're both, like, they speak their mind, Anyway, so she wrote in this letter, if you continue to pursue her, I will inform my cousin and the rest of the family. So, which is interesting. So she just wrote to him. She didn't go to Betty. She just told him, like, back off. I think she didn't want to tell Betty, her like guardian, because she knew that this would like break her heart and whatever. So she's just like, I'm going to handle this. Like, stay away from me, creepy old man.
But I love people who have that energy of, I am going to burn this bridge with me standing on it. Because here's the thing, being who she was, being a woman in that time period anyway, her word is going to hold less weight. But even with that, like, So like out with the family, you know, it wouldn't hold much weight, but within, like, he's going to be absolutely buggered. So she's like, I was like, my reputation might go down because they'll say I was luring you or whatever, but I'm going to destroy you if you keep this up, boy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that for her.
The energy is like, it's the best under the circumstances, really. So, well, she was, you know, she's living in this house, like the creepy guy's there. It's like she's writing this letter, but they're living all together. So like it's a stressful, anxious time for her. Mm-hmm. But she's getting support long distance from Eleanor, who they were keeping in touch via letters. There's a lot of letters in this story.
I miss letters, right?
The letters.
Like who needs a text message? Send me a letter.
It's beautiful. And they were like writing fast and furious. Like they were staying in touch a lot. Anyway, so they figured out a plan together to help Sarah escape from this situation. And the plan was that they were going to run away together. So I will say at this point, clearly they are in love with each other and both adults. So
yes, let's make that clear. They are both fully grown adults now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just want to make that really clear. This is a story about these two cute little lesbians. And yes, they met when one was 14 and one was 20 something, but now they're both adults. So don't worry about it. So this is like when I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a story about these ladies of Llangollen. And I never knew this first part of their story. And this is where I was just like, God damn it. This is an astonishing story because you just hear about them mostly as these little hobbits, but they were, okay, this saga, I call it The Great Escape Part 1. So March 30th, 1778. Sarah comes to her cousin Betty. She's weeping. And Betty is like, oh, you know, Sarah's crying because this little girl is ill. But actually Sarah was crying because she was going to run away and she was going to miss Betty. But she couldn't say that. And just for everybody to know, Sarah at this point is 25. Eleanor is 39, is the ages of these ladies. So no one's a young teenager at this point. They're all adult aged people. So anyway, what happens? Sarah goes to her room, like she weepingly says goodbye to her cousin in this dramatic way. And her cousin's like, that's weird. Anyway, Sarah goes to her room, puts on men's clothing, disguise. Then she grabs her dog, Frisk. And I love Frisk.
Good boy.
There's dogs.
Such a good boy.
There's dogs throughout this story, and they're always there on the side of these ladies. These are dog-owning lesbians, and just, I love it for them. Anyway, she also grabbed a pistol for her own protection, and then she and Frisk and the gun leaps out of a window to the ground below. So she had paid a local laborer to escort her to a nearby barn where Eleanor was waiting for her, also in disguise in men's clothing. And so their plan was to leave Ireland by boat. I think at this point their plan was to go to England. So they headed to the port at Waterford. Shout out to Waterford. Do you know any fun facts about Waterford? Waterford Crystal, I know, is a thing.
Oh, Waterford. It's bad because I always mix up Waterford and Wexford because they're just right next together. It's the Vikings ended up there. People can be like, Viking is an occupation. No, I don't care, right? We all call them Vikings. We've said that they're Vikings for a couple hundred years now. I think we're good. So yeah, the Vikings were there. They set up, it's one of the main places that they set up camp because it was fairly easy. So basically you've got Waterford. Above that is Kilkenny, so it's kind of just above it. And then, like, to the side of that, you've got Tipperary and Wexford as well. Wexford is where all the strawberries come from. Now, it's basically the very bottom of Ireland.
Okay.
But on the side, so that's the part that's, because it's kind of to the right-hand side, it is the part that is closest to the UK.
Right.
So.
And Waterford is like the port. Like that's where you're gonna.
Yeah, you get the port in Waterford.
So they ran away, and they're just like, here's our plan. We're running away. I feel like their plan was inspired by both of them are big readers. I think they've read a lot of novels, and they're just like, here's what's up: disguised as men, meet in a barn, sail away on a ship, and they've got this really romantic idea about it. But what happened is that everybody knew instantly that they were doing this, and they were being chased in a way I think they hadn't anticipated that they would be.
Didn't the Mancini sisters do the same thing? Did they not just like dress as men and flee on a boat?
Yes.
Or am I mixing that? Okay. I'm like, didn't they do that too a couple hundred years before?
I feel like Arbella Stewart also attempted to do this. Like, dress as a man, get on a boat. This is the classic plan.
This is everybody's plan. What we're going to do, shove on some breeches. They'll never suspect us in breeches. Like,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But what didn't work about this is just like they ran away and everybody knew right away. So it was common knowledge by the next morning that these two women had run away together. So William, gross husband William, sent servants to scour the land to find them. And so these, like, honestly, good job, inspectors, the CSI team of the era. They went to the barn and they're like, clearly they've been in this barn because here's a ruffle from their clothing. And just once they had found that they were in the barn, they're like, well, the only place they could be going is Waterford, so let's go there. Which is like obviously what you're describing. It's like, well, they're obviously going to this port city to catch a boat.
Yeah, they're going to the nearest port. So that's why, because Kilkenny and Waterford, because they're so close, and because that would be otherwise they're traveling across to get to somewhere like Dublin to try and get the port out, and that's just more dangerous because it's a longer trek, because we don't exactly have trains. What, do we have trains? We don't have trains yet.
Well, we have our these big carriages that I call like the party bus. That's just kind of like a huge, very slow moving carriage. But also I will say Sarah and Eleanor, they don't have a lot of street smarts. I don't think they would know what to do with themselves if they got to Dublin, frankly.
Yeah, I think they'd be scammed the moment they got there. But yeah, they're hiding. They're just trying to hide out in Waterford while they wait for the boat. Didn't they miss the first one?
Oh, babe. Okay, so what happens is they missed the last sailing to Wales. So they missed the boat, literally, and then they got lodgings for the night. Frisk, the dog, is still with them. He becomes the main character here, and apparently he was barking so much that when the men came looking for them, they're like, "Hey, we're looking for 2 women and a dog," and everyone in Waterford is like.
Funny you should mention that. There's this little yapper. Right?
Yeah, it's like we can hear him. Yeah, if you go to the tavern, it'll be obvious. Yep. So Frisk, I'm so sorry, but he was excited. He was excited to be part of this adventure.
I think he was just aware of how much danger was around these ladies, and he was just like, no, like consistently being like, I'm warning you both. And I think that he was just doing his best. Okay.
I think Frisk, nothing wrong with anything Frisk did. They would have been found anyway, but they were found quicker because Frisk was barking so much. Everyone, I have a neighbor with a yappy dog. It's like you can hear him from down the block, like people. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they were caught. They surrendered. So Betty arrived. She escorts Sarah back home. Eleanor's father, who is either the Baron or the Earl or whatever, he's just like, fancy rich guy, also an asshole, surprise. And he's just like,
what?
Shocking. So she was placed in sort of like a house arrest with her father. So the two of them were separated. And this is where Eleanor falls to her knees. She begs to be able to stay with Sarah at Woodstock, but this was not allowed. She was taken away by her family, who decided to send her, Eleanor, this 40-year-old lesbian, in pants. They're like, we're going to send you to a convent in France, which is...
Okay, sure, Jan. Sure.
That's what's up. But anyway, what happens is Sarah had caught a cold. She caught a chill, as so many people did in the Regency era. So many Jane Austen heroines. So she caught a chill during their adventure. And so she stayed in bed. And then she was getting so sick, like a doctor was called, like she was not thriving. Eleanor was like panicking from long distance, just sending a letter every 5 minutes, just being like, are you okay? Like, she was so devastated to be apart from her and she was sick. So Eleanor was like, okay, I will go to the French convent, yes, but can I have one final meeting with Sarah to say goodbye to her? And the families were like, okay, I guess you can meet in person for 30 minutes. And so she was able to meet with Sarah for 30 minutes. And while they were saying in this meeting, I think presumably in the letters too, but they made plans for the Great Escape Part 2. So, and it's like, there's even more sort of reason to want to escape now. It's like, it's not just, we want to run away so you don't have to be with with your cousin's husband, but also no, like Eleanor's going to be sent to France. They're just like, how can we be together? Like we need to be together. And that means we have to put on our trousers and off we go.
Get your pants on.
So this one, like between the illness and everything, this is like 1 year after the previous attempt. So I will say Eleanor's father, who's like, we're going to send you to a convent in France. It's like, okay, are you? Like, because it's been 1 year. So are you?
It's just a constant threat over her. He's like, if you don't behave, it's like, you're not going to get your dinner. And then he gives her dinner anyway. And it's like, if you don't behave, I'm going to send you to France.
And she's
to
40,
a convent.
40 years old. So anyway.
Also, are there not convents in Ireland? The place known for massive Catholicism.
Are
like,
there
oh yeah,
not?
there's no convents. No convents here, is the pal. Like, please.
Exactly. So this time, they have all these reasons to want to escape. They just want to be together. So under the cover of darkness, April 1st, 1779. So Eleanor ran away from home to go join Sarah at Woodstock. And coming in clutch is a new, Frisk is an important character in the story, but also is Sarah's housemate, Mary Carroll, who, shout out to Mary, steps up. So she, as the rest of the household was asleep, Mary secretly opened the parlor window so Eleanor could climb in the window. It's like, babe, she could secretly open a door too, but these are dramatic.
The drama.
Climb in the window.
Mm-hmm.
And so Eleanor crept into the house, and then she hid in the upstairs room. And it's this huge house, right? / I would call it personally some sort of palace mansion. It's a huge old rich family home.
Country house. It's a big country house.
Yeah. So she's hiding in an upstairs room for the next few days. Picture Downton Abbey. It's and no one knew she was there because the house is so fucking big. So she's just, I love this detail. Whenever someone came near the room, she would pop herself and hide in a cupboard.
Out of the closet, into the cupboard.
You said it. And Mary Carroll.
I've been thinking about this.
No, that was beautiful. And I didn't think of it. I'm so glad you did. So, but Mary Carroll would secretly sneak her up food so she could eat.
Just sneak it up and just leave it in front of the cupboard. And the hand comes out those little paws that take the money from the box.
And so for several days, this ridiculously, I have to say, stupid plan works. So Eleanor's family, Eleanor ran away from home. And so her family assumed that she had run away with Sarah, but then they went to Sarah's family and Betty was like, no, Sarah's she's here. She has not run away. So everyone's like, I guess Eleanor ran away by herself. But then a few days later, a man from Eleanor's home arrived to reveal that Eleanor has been hiding in Woodstock this whole time. And who's this guy?
How did he know, though?
Who's he?
Who is he? Also, how dare you? But also, who is he?
Yeah, what? I don't know. So this mysterious man showed up to ruin the plan. So anyway, Eleanor... So they opened the cupboard. It's oh, it's Eleanor. She's been living in the cupboard. But they're like, what are we going to do with you? I know. And they're like, well, we'll just keep you here for a while. So she just stayed in the house, but now in a room while they try to figure out what to do. So William, the horrible husband, wrote to Eleanor's horrible father, saying I demand you come and fetch her. And Eleanor's father was just no. You know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of this. No, you keep her.
It's a lot of hassle. I'm getting old, right? I just want to smoke my pipe and eat my Werther's original. I just can't. Just done. I think.
Which is,
it probably wasn't worth it for him. From a societal standpoint as well, because can you imagine? Oh, your daughter's ran away again. Has she, buddy? How many times it would have just been I think a smear on his reputation because of it as well.
So I guess he just wants to wash his hands clean of the whole thing. So at this point we get into some negotiations. So the father had the family's lawyer relay the message that Eleanor and Sarah can live together on the condition that they leave Ireland and never return, which maybe to him was a threat, but to them was bet. Yeah. Great. That's what we were going to do.
The thing we've been planning to do this entire time. That's been several years and you're just going to give it to us? Yay.
Yeah. That's why we were going to. So why did you grab us from Waterford in the first place? So anyway, so they're peace out. And off they went. So Sarah, because these are both, this is an era where we're going to talk about this so much in this Regency-era season of this podcast. Everyone is writing travel memoirs. Now, everyone is taking pictures, sharing on Instagram. If you took a trip in these times, you would then publish a book about it. That's what everybody did.
It's in the mid-2000s when everyone had a blog.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she wrote a record of their early travels called An Account of a Journey in Wales, performed in May 1778 by two fugitive ladies and dedicated to her most tenderly beloved companion by the author. Like,
it's a long title.
It's a long title, and I have to say, like, it's like a very lesbian title as well, because like the fact that in the title she's just like a trip done by two ladies dedicated to her companion, to my beloved companion. It's like you put in your title that this is dedicated to the women you're traveling with. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm happy for them. They finally got away. So they were like, we're going to go to England. But again, as I said, these are not street smart people. They don't have a lot of like lived experience. And quickly they realized they can't afford to live in England. So they're like, what about Wales? How about Wales? Let's just go to Wales.
It's closer also, right?
It's closer and it's cheaper. Travel. Yeah. And all they wanted, which is what they're going to do, is just to find a little house and just like live as just two little hobbits. They didn't want to go to like this big city and like go to the opera and whatever. They're like, we just want a little house. We want a garden. We want a landscape, like Wales. So they went to the northern Welsh village of Llangollen, and they rented a 2-story cottage. And can you say the name of the cottage that they named it?
Plasnavas,
which is Welsh for new hall. And
welcome to our new hall. But I like that they went, what's the Welsh for this? We're going to use that. Let's be respectful to the area, because the lesbians are considerate, Harold. Okay?
I want to mention, and so then they sent away and they're like, remember Mary Carroll, the servant. They're like, can you send Mary to come and work with us? And this is where I want to mention, this is great timing for Mary, who had recently been fired from her job working for Sarah's family. Not, as you might think, for helping Eleanor sneak in the window and feeding her cupboard food, but because Mary threw a candelabra at another servant so hard that it seriously wounded the other person. This earned her the nickname Moll the Bruiser, and so she's...
But like, amazing. How strong is her arm? Even a candelabra, like, you are... Like,
a candelabra is not a heavy object, necessarily.
I know, I mean, it's big enough, really. I mean, if it's a candelabra, it's the one that's got, like, the several... Like, at least 3 candles, you know. And, like, it's not necessarily that heavy, but how strong is your arm that you're whacking that to, like, wound somebody, like a proper wound?
I know. I don't think, like, it was described as, like, she threw it at them, but I think you have to, like, hit someone with it to wound them with a candelabra.
Yeah.
Unless the candle lit on it, was the person also burned? I don't know.
Yeah, I like to think that she's just got, like, a really super strong, like, league of their own arm, just like, you know?
Yeah, so Moll the Bruiser moves in with them, and so it's like these 2 lesbians, and they're married, and they're living in Wales, and so one might think, you know, I don't know, frankly, anything about Wales in the late 18th century. How were these 2 welcomed into this town? And it turns out they became quickly beloved, and so this was partially because Betty, the cousin, who is still there for her. So she was like, you know, she was a wealthy, important person in County Kilkenny. And so she sent letters to Wales she had an influential friend who lived there, Anne Hill Trevor, Lady Dungannon. And she said, hey, this is my ward. She's actually really great. And this is her very good friend and roommate, Eleanor. Like, can you be nice to them? And Anne Hill Trevor was like, I shall be. And so then when everyone saw that Anne Hill Trevor was cool with them, everyone was like, great, welcome to Llangollen, you little hobbits.
And they're very inoffensive as well. They were just there, just kind of existing. So it wasn't as if they were out like causing big dramatic scenes in town.
No, exactly. Like, this is the thing. Like, the most exciting thing these 2 ever did was run away. And as soon as they got away, they're just like, great, let's just set up a domestic life. Let's adopt some dogs. Let's do some farming. Like, all they wanted was this quiet life, and they got it. So it's like, why would anyone hate that? Why? And now for a quick advertising break.
Dyke bars had all the things, the drama, the romance, conversations to change your life, to change your mind, sense of competition. It also had community. Why is it gone? We need everything. We deserve everything.
Welcome to Our Dyke Histories, a podcast where we dive deep into the living, breathing past and present of lesbian, bi, queer, trans, and non-binary communities. I'm your host, Jack Giesking, historian, geographer, and environmental psychologist, working in collaboration with Sinister Wisdom. This season, Decade by decade, we focus on dyke bars with an asterisk, tracing the creation, spread, decline, and revival of brick-and-mortar lesbian bars, alongside the ever-present, not as equally recognized, and itinerant parties, especially those for racialized women and trans people.
She had a mansion, later called the Garden of Allah, and she had these fabulous house parties with ingenues in this swimming pool. They may or may not have been very sexual, like orgies.
We found a lot of examples of Black queer women gathering together in Harlem speakeasies, putting blues song on the jukebox, dancing together in ways that the Vice reformer watching found to be very, very shocking and scandalous.
It was a rich darkness. We created because of the power of desire. We focused so much on bars. And yes, that's where we became the public face of our bodies. That's where our bodies entered public life. Where the touch you wanted was, I decided that we created a new gender, the gender of desire.
One of the things we don't think about is still to this day, 40% of people incarcerated in women's prisons identify as LGBTQ. They're where people end up after being at the bars. They're where people socialize outside the bars, but we rarely think about them as social spaces.
Even beyond bars as sites of politics, politics around bars, the site of activism and anti-racism, organized in response to women of color getting kicked out of bars.
When Koch became mayor of New York in the late 70s, he started forcing people out of those spaces and tried to close down other bars and succeeded in many cases to sell those spaces.
I personally am a very indoor person, but it does feel like the softball field is probably better for us overall, even though clearly in the Great War, the bars won.
My first lesbian bar, the windows were painted black. It was very tiny. There were all these women sitting at the bar, and they would all turn and look at the door when you walked in, and then they would look away. And there was always some girl breaking up on the payphone and crying. And the bathroom was always flooded.
One night I didn't even make it into the Click Club because I just was making out with the bouncers when they went. I'm not gonna lie, there was 3 of them. There wasn't a gay club I went to I didn't have sex in. It was just beautiful and you had something for everybody.
Alongside the bars and parties, we talk about the structures that made them necessary, the lives they made possible, and the dyke worlds we built from them. Like our sponsor, Sinister Wisdom, a multicultural lesbian literary and art journal, uplifting lesbian voices since 1976. We share these stories so we know more about who we are, how we were, and why we fight to never forget. These are our stories of danger, of laughter, of sex, and of radical joy. We didn't just take up space, we built it. Our Dyke Histories from Jack King in collaboration with Sinister Wisdom. Check out our newsletter at queergeographies.ghost.io. Our first season launches November 2025. Listen wherever you find your podcasts.
You may have heard of HelloFresh. You may have even heard me talking about them before because I love a food box delivery. I'm a person who lives by myself, and maybe you live with other people. I'm sure it's great for you too, but what I can say for myself is the cost of groceries right now is kind of bananas. And if I want to cook a recipe for myself, it's like I don't want to buy a whole container of this spice and that spice and like a whole cauliflower or whatever. It's like I just need the amounts of the ingredients I need to make a meal for one. That is me. And you can get that with HelloFresh. Well, technically the meals are for 2, so that's like a meal and a lunch the next day. They are the #1 meal kit in America, making home cooking easier with chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients delivered straight to your door. This fall, they're serving up even more to love. This isn't the HelloFresh you remember, if you remember them from before. It is bigger. They've doubled their menu. There's more than 100 options each week if you're a picky eater like myself, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world, international recipes, if you will. Healthier options. There's high protein recipes. I know we're all trying to up our protein goals. It's challenging, right? But also, as I know, and maybe you do too, if you're eating more protein, you need more fiber, which is why they also help you. You can eat greener with veggie-packed recipes with 2 or more veggies per dish. The recipes are, guess what, also tastier. So, as I said before, I love a food box delivery. HelloFresh is doing the thing. It's honestly saving me, helping me. I don't live near a grocery store either. That helps me out as well. It's a great product. I eat these meals myself, and you should too. The best way to cook just got better. Go to hellofresh.com/vulgarhistory10fm now to get 10 free meals and a free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's hellofresh.com/vulgarhistory10fm, and that's 10fm, to get 10 free meals and free breakfast for life.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies just to see if you could save some cash? Well, Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. The holidays are approaching, and everyone knows that this time of year, the sooner you can get things done, the better. For both shoppers and businesses, the best time to score great deals during the holidays is during that Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. And if you have your own business, whether you've been around the block a few times or this is your first year going through the holiday sale rush, the most important thing you can have is a platform that can handle everything that's about to be thrown at you. This is a crucial time for your business and your customers. And with Shopify, you can be sure that your tools and platform are ready for anything that comes your way. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to entrepreneurs who will be participating in their first Black Friday, Cyber Monday this year. With everything else going on, you probably don't have time to spend hours poring over every little detail in your online store. That's why Shopify's thousands of templates and tools help you streamline website creation and make sure that your site isn't just aesthetically pleasing, but functional and easy to use. Shopify's expedited checkout, Shop Pay, saves customer information and reduces hassle. And the best part is that it's been proven to boost conversions, meaning you'll see less abandoned carts and more profits. You can also stress less knowing that Shopify's award-winning customer support team is on standby 24/7 to help with any issues that arise, allowing you to get back to your business as fast as possible. This Black Friday, join the thousands of new entrepreneurs hearing for the first time with Shopify. Sign up for your free trial today at shopify.com/realm. That's shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. and make this Black Friday one to remember.
And we're back. So these, I think it's also in terms of like history and stuff, it's like, well, who was like accepting of a same-sex relationship? This small northern Welsh town in the late 18th century. So get it together, the world of 2025. These people didn't care. Anne Hill Trevor was cool with it. So like, why aren't you? But so Sarah and Eleanor, it's such a weird thing. Like they tried to run away, they were brought back, and then the family was like, leave and never come back. And they're like, okay. And because they did that, so they didn't cut off contact with their families because the families still helped them out financially, which is crucial here because
they're women from the past. So legally, they don't really have access to funds or a lot of the time employment.
Exactly. Like they need funding from somehow, like they're renting the new hall. So they need money. So the family was still helping them out financially. And then, they're so cute. They're so cute and sweet. So articles about the ladies and their beautiful home started to be shared in fashionable magazines of the era, which meant the superstars of the Regency era heard about them and were like, we want to go see these little lesbians. Let's go to Wales. And this is when they became the Ladies of Llangollen. So their visitors included Lord Byron, who...
Sorry. Byron.
He's never not going to be in every episode this series. He is...
Oh, the rake. The rake.
The amount of times I've heard about Lord Byron, researching literally anyone, it's like, oh, and he was a regular dinner guest at this person. I'm like, how many dinners a day was this man having that he's a regular dinner guest at all of these homes? So anyway, but of course, Lord Byron...
He never had to feed himself. I think he just that was his thing. He would just go and have to deal with other people like all the time.
He's clearly never in his own house. Yeah, he's just going to Wales, hanging out with the ladies. Sure.
I think he just survived on like compliments, really, and that's why he was traveling everywhere, because like he just needed that to survive, not necessarily food as sustenance. Because he's like, I'm Lord Byron, and everyone's like, hey, cool, aren't you the guy who shagged his sister? Sorry, half sister. Apparently that's important, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, so Lord Byron went to hang out there, and I'm sure he probably went back, and when he was having dinner with literally everybody, he'd be like, you know, who I want to visit is these lesbians in Wales, and everyone's like, ooh, I should see them too. Percy Shelley also went there. There's something about like the like romantic poets really like the way that they were living off the land. Like people just found this really lovely. And the Ladies of Llangollen,
they find it very cute. Like, it's so adorable.
They encourage their visitors to write poetry about them.
As you would.
I encourage my visitors to write poetry about me. No one has, but baby.
I will visit you and I'll write you a haiku. Like I'll do it. Okay. Here's a plan.
Likewise. So the ladies encouraged people. So these poems by, Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, like famous poets were coming out about them, and this helped cultivate kind of their fame. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but William Wordsworth wrote a whole poem about visiting them. And it ends with, sisters in love, a love allowed to climb, even on this earth above the reach of time.
It's just lovely. They're just lovely little lesbians, just living their lives. And that's it. That's the thing. This is where, because at first I was like, oh, maybe I'll do an episode about them. But all I knew about them was this era where it's like, well, they're just these nice little lesbians having their house, cultivating their garden. And I'm like, I don't think there's an episode there. This is just a nice thing. But no, there's all the drama beforehand. So that's where I'm like, okay, this is a good story to tell. But yeah, so they're just living their life. They're having this amazing time. And an article about them was posted in a journal called La Belle Assemblée. And this caught the eye. So when we're recording this, it hasn't come out yet. But a few weeks ago, I did post an episode about Anne Lister. So the other most famous lesbian of this era, Anne Lister, read about them. And she was just like, lesbians? Well, I have to go see them too. And so this is where in the previous episode, the Anne Lister episode, which if people haven't heard it, they should. But one of my guests was saying like how moving it is to see like in this era to go to see your queer elders, that Anne Lister was able to go and like see people living this life. Like, because Anne Lister had been like wanting to like get a wife and settle down. And so she's like, oh, I want to talk to the ladies. Like, how did they figure this out? Because there's rumors that the ladies had some sort of commitment ceremony. And Anne Lister was like, what was that like? So the fact that she got to see them is really lovely, I think. And so she headed down to Wales, and Anne Lister is very famous for having written down every thought that ever crossed her mind. But she wrote those journals. I tried. I read some. I tried. I don't have enough hours in the day. Like she did literally write everything, every thought she's ever thought, every idea, every consideration, and yeah, no, I had to stop. There's just too much.
It's pretty epic. Yeah. Again, like listeners, if you haven't heard the Anne Lister episode from like 2 weeks ago, one of my guests is one of the people who worked on transcribing the diaries. And so she has them all there in front of her. So she can do a word search to see like, how often did she say this word? But it's such a massive thing. Like you need to do a Control F search. Like, oh, did she ever mention Carolina Brunswick? It's you can't just read it. It's massive. Anyway, but part of this, Anne Lister wrote about going to visit the Ladies of Llangollen. There is something in their story and in all I have heard about them here that, added to other circumstances, makes a deep impression. So basically, she's just like, these are my queer elders, and I'm so excited to see them. At this point, the ladies have been living there for 40 years. They are, when I say they're her queer elders, they are like 80 years old. So Anne Lister went to see, she's only able to see one of them, I think, because one of them, we'll get to that. But I do just want to backtrack and say, so they've been living, these cute little Hobbit lesbians, for more than 40 years, living in, how do you say it? Place
Nevis.
Place Nevis, for more than 40 years. Like they're just pillars of the community at this point. Their relationship was like, they're so famous, right? Although I will say they did not let anybody paint their portrait. So no one, like they wrote, it's like write poems about me, but don't take my picture. Like no one can know what I look like, but write about how great I am. So this kind of lent to their air of mystery.
Their mystique.
It's a lovely thing. So their relationship was widely understood to be a marriage, which it was by, just common laws of today. Like, they were two people who had been together for 40 plus years. For instance, Caroline of Brunswick. This is Caroline's Corner in these Regency-era episodes. When she shows up, we call it Caroline's Corner. So she wrote, Lady Eleanor Butler and Mademoiselle Ponsonby must be mad, I should think, to choose to leave the world and set up in a hermitage in Wales. But to each their own. It would not be my preference. I do dread being married to a lady friend. Men are tyrants, but the women, heaven help us, they are true Neros over those they rule.
Caroline needs better friends, I think, really.
Yeah, if she's married to George, like she's married to Prinny, George IV, and she's like, oh, but I would never want to live with a female friend. It's like, bitch, what? Like
that's because you're surrounded by awful women. I'm sorry, Caroline, but you need... I'm traveling to the past and being like, bitch, please.
Yeah, I'm thinking through her story as well, which I know incredibly too well, almost. And I'm like, yeah, she had close lady friends, but she kind of went from friend to friend to friend, and the friendships kind of burnt out always. Her most steadfast partner was she had this Italian servant lover later on. Anyway, but it's like, Caroline of Brunswick wrote this, but she was just like writing a letter. She just kind of like talked shit a lot anyway. But the fact that she had heard of them, she's saying it must, like, they're mad to go live in a hermitage in Wales. And it's like, well, Caroline, like, you went to live in effectively that in Italy. Like, eventually, at a certain age, we all just want to live in a little farmhouse, I think.
At some point, we all just want to be lesbians in a cottage. Like, that's...
Don't we all? And you know what? So, yeah, like, they were clearly lesbians, and I think... two ladies who are not lesbians, I think it would be nice to live together in a hermitage in Wales. I think this just sounds like, to me, a lovely way to live. Anyway, so the cottage, so here's a description over. So they were like HGTV, like home renovation lesbians. So they had turned their home into, quote, a gothic fantasy. So here's Anthony Delaney, where I got a lot of the information about them from his book, The Queer Enlightenment. So, he writes, they added intricately carved oak paneling that had been reclaimed from much older churches to the walls and dramatic stained glass throughout. The gardens had been artistically remodeled too. Small Gothic follies, such as an imitation ancient ruin, littered the grounds, whilst a collection of exotic fruit thrived in the greenhouse. Around the garden, pinned to carefully chosen trees, poetry extracts fluttered in the Welsh winds. Poetry is pinned to the trees, like poetry about them, presumably.
I mean, maybe just other poetry also. Maybe the poets, when they were there, wrote things and they were like, okay, that's going on the poetry tree. Like, that's...
Yeah. It sounds lovely. And if you've been living in the same estate for 40 years, like, you have time to really make your mark on it. So I love that they have exotic fruit growing in their greenhouse. Like,
it's like, I love the fact there's little follies. Like, there's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
I like follies exist. Like, I think a lot of follies exist to give work to people. Like, that was, but they're just like, oh, we've seen somebody do that. Let's us do that too. But also, let's go deep. Like, let's go back.
Well, it's
they're
also
just
like
really
make some imitation ancient ruins. Like, they're just
like, yeah, I love it.
Why not? Like, our families are sending us money. Let's just like get some stained glass windows from cathedrals. Let's just reclaim the wood from the old church. Like, it's beautiful. What they're doing is beautiful.
Somebody find us a stonemason, because we need to get this replication ancient ruin together. Like, let's do it. I love that.
And it's beautiful. And this is why people go there to visit. And it's like, yeah, this is a real destination. You're going to see a lot of stuff. So at the time that Anne Lister arrived, so Mary was very ill with... she's like in her 80s, like late 80s, early 90s. And it's like the olden days. So like, yeah, she's ill. So she's ill. So when Anne Lister comes, she's only able to meet with Eleanor. Oh, wait, no, Eleanor's the older one. Eleanor is 67. Mary's younger. Oh, so Mary's not even that old. She's like maybe in her 50s and she's ill. Anyway, Anne Lister arrived and she's able to meet 67-year-old Eleanor, but not Mary. So she wrote, this is quite rich coming from Anne Lister, noted for her unconventional style of dress, that she's like, Eleanor cut a very odd figure dressed in a blue, shortish waisted cloth riding habit, the jacket unbuttoned, showing a plain plaited frilled habit shirt, a thick white cravat rather loosely put on, hair powdered, parted down the middle in front, cut to a moderate length all round and hanging straight, tolerably thick. Like, she's wearing a fucking cravat. Like, Eleanor is just like...
I'm sorry, but that sounds amazing, right? That is a style.
Incredible. And also the short hair, I think, is notable and interesting. But the fact that she's got her hair powdered, so at this time, like in the mid 1800s, like that's a very old fashioned thing to do. So these are just sort of old ladies who are wearing like a cravat, like a frilled shirt. It's just like, yes, please.
I think, sometimes you find a look and, that's your style and you just stick with it. And I love that for her.
I love it. There's a woman who I used to work with who clearly found her look in 1987. And I was just like, oh, this is startling. What hairstylist do you go to who gives you this like feathered perm? But it's like, it did suit her. So it's like you find a look, and she wore a lot of like chenille patterned sweaters where it's like, you are from 1987. That is you.
I love a chenille pattern sweater. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss the sweater shop. Oh, the sweater shop used to make so many weird and wonderful. Just bring back weird sweaters. It has started. There has been a resurgence, but
Ben, I hope it will.
More.
I feel like, the ugly Christmas sweater, like I think if that can spread into year-round whimsical sweaters, I'm happy about it.
Yeah, especially when I live somewhere so cold all the time.
You gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta. My mother, she would knit for us when we were kids. So we would get the like pattern books of the like whimsical sweaters.
Yes.
And you'd choose one, and
My gran did that.
So they'd send her the kit, and she would knit this. I had this one sweater that had like a dinosaur, like a stegosaurus that went across it, and then it went down the arm, and then there's like little sticky up little triangles. Yeah.
Yes, the little fins. That's not the word for it. Thank God my son isn't here because he would be telling me the correct one.
I don't know what they're called, but that was like when I like
see there's some dinosaurs in the
background. Exactly. And I was that dinosaur kid. So I just had this like dinosaur whim. Anyway, bring back some sweaters, bring back some frilled shirts, some cravats, like
bring back cravats. Yes.
Cravats for ladies. So Anne Lister said, she did say, like, whoa, what a weird outfit, which like, again, very rich coming from Anne Lister, noted for her bananas outfits. Anyway, Anne Lister said Eleanor had a certain je ne sais quoi. Like, yeah, she does. Yeah, these ladies are fantastic. And I just want to also say, so while they were widely understood to be in a marriage by everybody, including Carolina Brunswick. So they never publicly stated that they were in a romantic or a sexual relationship. But it's like, why? They just had people come and visit them and write poetry about them. They're not like making statements to the press. They're not like going on Instagram being like,
watch me kiss my wife. No.
No, so they never said anything about it. But this is also kind of like reputation is so, like you were saying about like her dad. It's like, this is too scandalous. My daughter keeps running away. I'm just going to cut her off. Like, why would they come forward and just, they need the financial support of their families. They need public acceptance. They're not going to be like, hello, we are lesbians. But it's like, but we are two people who love each other very much and have lived together for 40 years. Like, like your actions speak strongly about what's going on. But also, anyway, so they presented themselves as very devoted friends, as we say, historically very good friends, roommates. Whenever newspapers or pamphlets hinted that they were lesbians, they sometimes would consider taking legal action about them, but they never actually did, because that's too much drama, and that's not their vibe. So I have a quote here. So there's a book called Mad and Bad, Real Heroines of the Regency by B. Koch, which is a fantastic reference just to learn about all these people. But she writes, I think, she explains this whole thing very well. So she says, ever since the ladies' elopement, there's been debate about the sexual nature of their relationship, one that has continued throughout years of scholarship. The ladies have long been considered in the tradition of romantic friendship. There is another very different school of thought that situates the ladies firmly in the middle of the gay and lesbian liberation movement. What is clear is that the ladies made unconventional choices that were accepted, if sometimes questioned by their contemporaries. Rather than declare them lesbians or any other sexual identity, queer seems to fit the ladies best. As David Halperin notes, queer is by definition whatever is at odds with the normal, the legitimate, the dominant. The ladies certainly fit within that tradition. They courted respectability while also refusing to conform to the expected. So, in terms of like, and I'm sure in all of your research too, like when you're looking at people from history who we would now consider queer, like none of them are being like, we're here, we're queer. They're all just kind of like, this is just me. Here's what I'm up to. Like they're not.
Yeah. And even it's difficult with a lot of things, even when we talk about everything from sexuality to even feminism, because our modern perception of what that is, it's like, it's trying to understand how it was back then and how like nowadays we don't have shame. Shame isn't a real thing. We don't really have it anymore. We're quite happy to embarrass ourselves daily. And we're not really that affected by even peer pressure to an extent. Whereas back then, like your life would be over. You would have nothing worth living. Your reputation was your goal. Like you needed to have that, and you needed to have the respect of everyone around you, because it could very easily, like you might not be able to get food from the market because they wouldn't want to sell to you. Like you would not have people, you would have no friends because nobody would want to talk to you because you were deemed the outwith of society, you know? And sort of honor and reputation were huge for centuries. It was very important. And now we're just kind of like, But when you come to those kind of like sexuality and LGBTQ, it's hard to put a label on it because the manner in which they lived their lives was so different. Like it's you even see it with a lot of like trans people in history, like Dr. James Barry, and it's like, would they be considered trans? Because we don't know their exact motivations behind it. So would they prefer to have lived their life as a woman doctor, or did they want to be a male doctor? Like that, you know, we don't know. We cannot say one way or the other, but we can use as much of the context clues as possible to try and be respectful to the person who did exist, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's also meaningful for people today who are members of the LGBTQ community to find people in the past who seem to have a similar experience to them, however they define themselves. It's like, I think the Ladies of Llangollen and Lister, like these are lesbian icons. And so to people who are like, well, they never said they were lesbians, it's like, no, but Harold, like they were clearly
they wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's not a thing you did.
Yes, that's not a reason to discount the fact that clearly these women were they ran away together twice. Like they clearly have a romantic situation going on. So this is where and I'm so happy to have you on the podcast as well, and my guests from the Ann Lister episode too, because like I want to lean into the elements of like queer history, but you have to just read so much between the lines really to like put it together. And I don't want to like prescribe an identity onto a person, but it's like, well, here's how maybe this would have been accepted now, and here's how people saw them then. And yeah.
I always think it's interesting the way that we present these stories now, actually. So especially when we do it in media, especially visual media, because whenever they do, like Ann Lister especially, whenever they have her in men's clothing, and it's like, that's not quite what she did. She was dressed masculine for the era, but it's like not as a man. Like the Ladies of Llangollen, they dressed in these slight masculine fits, but they weren't dressed as men specifically. And because the modern era, because of how we view the fashion, you know, we see it in such a specific binary that we don't really recognize that subtlety, you know, and so we don't really connect with it. So that's why they're always presented as even more masculine than they were, you know? So
no, that's such a good point. Cause like today we're in an era where like to see a woman wearing trousers is not like, oh, shocking. Like we're so used to that. Or like Diane Keaton or somebody who wears like a necktie, or RIP Diane Keaton, by the way. But like, so when you're putting it in a film, it's like we have to make clear that what this person is wearing is unusually masculine for the time. So then they turn that into like, what if she's wearing a 3-piece suit? Like, so it's complex, but it's interesting and it's beautiful. And also I love the mystique of the ladies, because it's like, what did they look like? We only have descriptions of them because they refused to have portraits done. Hang on. So 1809.
The secret. I love this one.
Mary passed away in 1809. And so Eleanor commissioned a memorial in St. Colin's Cemetery. So Mary, the maid, Mary Carroll, it's like, we love Mary. Frisk, I'm sure, is long gone, but there's been other dogs. Mary has been the one servant. She was with them this whole time. So the ladies commissioned this memorial called To Our Matchless Mary, because it's beautiful to a servant. Like people didn't do that ever.
Yeah. That's it. They still remember her opening that wee window. That's it.
So in 1829, so 20 years later, Eleanor died age 89 and was buried next to Mary. Well, because the three of them lived at Plas Newydd for 50 years together or something. Like they had a real, they didn't have any other servants other than her, I don't think. Anyway, so Eleanor died and was buried next to Mary. And then Sarah died 2 years later and she was laid next to the other two. So they encouraged poetry to be written about them, but they refused to pose for portraits. But one of their guests, and I feel like this is like me or you, Katie, if we went to visit them, we're like, oh, okay, we're not allowed to draw you. I'm just going to secretly draw you. So one of their guests, Mary Parker, secretly drew some sketches of them. Like, what are you doing over there? I'm just writing poetry about you. Don't worry about it.
Don't look. It's not done. It's not done. I'm still on the stage. Is what you're doing. I'm rubbing out what I said. Don't worry about it. I'm not shading.
So she surreptitiously drew some sketches of them. And then after they died, she turned these into a watercolor image of the two ladies sitting in their very full library. So apparently Plas Newydd was sold a year after the ladies had died, but Mary Parker got access to it so she could sketch the library for authenticity to make sure that the background of her picture looked good. So this is all sort of like, this got translated to this. So she took these sketches, made a watercolor. Then the watercolor was translated into print by Richard James Lane. And an impression of it can be found in the Audley End collection. So I'll put a link in this episode to the print based on the sketches. So they're looking at their most Bilbo Baggins in this picture. And there's a cat.
I love this picture. They're just cute little lesbians, right? And their library.
Because cute lesbians in their library, and the fact that she went into there to sketch the library to make sure it was authentic. So, they had like 1 gazillion books, but also they have whatever, like an hourglass and like a little dog-shaped paperweight and like all these little odds.
Of course they did. They just seem like the dog paperweight type paperweight.
Yeah, not that they traveled themselves. I think they only ever stayed there, but they're the sort of people today who would go to a gift shop and they'd be like, oh, do you have anything shaped like a dog? Great. And they would just have a lot of knickknacks all shaped like dogs. They're such cute little people with their little cravats. Anyway, they are adorable. And I love the secret portrait.
I just love this. I just love that. It's like, what are you doing? Nothing.
So I just write in a very looping scrawl. My handwriting is very artistic, one might say. So anyway, you can visit Plas Newydd. It is now run as a museum by the Denbighshire, I don't know, run by County Council in that region of Wales. You can also visit their 3-person memorial can also be visited as well as I think if you're like going on a lesbian or even just like an overall queer history tour of Ireland, the UK, like I think you're going to hit up like Anne Lister's, the church where she got married. You're going to hit up Plas Newydd. Like these are just where you're going. Like this is where you're going to see this grave. Like these are the sites to see. And I'm happy. Actually like this is on my itinerary now as well. I would love to go to Wales and see this house. To see how much of what they did is still there. Do they have all the follies? Do they have the artificial ancient ruins? Like, I want to see all these like design choices.
Wouldn't that be amazing if they still had those little ruins there? That'd be amazing.
The fake ruins. And so at the end, so this season, because I'm doing the Regency era, at the end of the season, we're going to choose a diamond of the season, like they do on Bridgerton. And so part of that decision is going to be based on the scores they get in 4 categories. And Katie, we've done this before. If you could help me determine the scores for the ladies collectively as one unit. So the first category, these are all scores, just to remind everybody, this is a score out of 10. And the first category is scandaliciousness. How scandalous were they? And this is interesting because they weren't at all for most of their life, but the running away was very scandalous. And frankly, the whole like teacher-student relationship might have.
I feel like we're at a 6 for scandal. Yeah. Because like there's like a little bit, and then they're just kind of there.
Yeah.
So like I think that beginning stage about a 6. I think we're.
Because like it was high scandal at the beginning, and then just like decades of just domestic home
of just existing, just being there.
Yeah,
actual cottagecore lesbians, like
literal. I think this is where it came from. They invented the whole thing. That is them. Maybe that's what I'm going to call the episode. Anyway, so the next category is scheminess. How schemy were they? Now, in the beginning, very with the running away plans, but also just the way that they figured out a way to live their life and be able to do it by just like being so welcoming to people, like having the poems written about them. Like they kind of made themselves celebrities, and that sort of helped ensure that they were able to keep going because it just became these beloved fixtures.
I think they just probably seemed quite nice to be around because there's no way you could survive through all that and not have some bad stuff written about you. So I don't think they were necessarily schemy, except for the beginning, really. Yeah. And I'd say we're like a 3 or a 4 on that because even their schemes weren't that schemy. It was like leave and get to port, hide in a cupboard. Like it's not.
The schemes were not,
as well thought out as one could have. Yeah. You know,
exactly.
Kind of low on the scheme scale.
Climb in a window, hide in a cupboard. It's like, did you think no one would find you ever? Like, yeah, they had schemes.
That one guy.
Who was that one guy?
Who was that one guy?
Okay, the next category is their significance, and that is to history, but also to queer history. I think this is a very high score.
Oh, we're talking a 9 or a 10 for that.
I think a 10. I think they are to queer history. Like they're up there.
I think because they survived, not only just survived, but they lived a life together that they wanted. And I think it's so rare to see that, like throughout history, that I think they deserve that high scale because, our Cottagecore lesbians, 10 out of 10.
I think absolutely. I think. So there's there's a new season of Bridgerton coming up, speaking of the Regency era. And so in the previous season,
the way your eyes roll whenever you say Bridgerton.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the tie-in that Bridgerton brings to my book and to this series of the podcast. But I'm rolling my eyes at the Bridgerton fans who were upset that they were foreshadowing there's clearly going to be a lesbian plotline coming up in a subsequent season. I don't think it's in this season. Probably it might be in the next one. In the books, there was a love story that was like a man and a woman. And on the TV show, they've changed the man character to a woman. And some people were freaking out about it, where it's just like, first of all, like it's Bridgerton. Like this is not historical accuracy. But also people are like, there wasn't lesbians in the Regency. And that's part of where I wanted, it was really important to me to do these episodes early on to be like,
there weren't lesbians in the past. I was like,
what are you talking about?
What?
Yeah. Like Anne Lister, like, and every one of her partners, the Ladies of Llangollen, but also I think in terms of like the Bridgerton thing, like these were like from upper class families, like Eleanor and Sarah, like it's not like, this is an example of how people from like elite society could live in this way and it would be okay and their families wouldn't disown them. Like this, like to anyone who's like, how dare Bridgerton go woke or whatever. It's like, there's enormous amounts of precedent actually. So, and that's part of where like the significant score of 10, like I just think to have them there as an example of historical queer thriving, happy life is
their little follies and their dogs. Just, and they're very full library, which I respect so much.
Well, because they were both big nerds to begin with. I feel like that's probably where they first connected. Like they just love reading. They love books. They love dogs. They love landscaping. Like,
I love that.
They're so cute. They probably cut each other's hair, or maybe Mary cut their hair. So the category, and
she only knew how to do one style.
Bull.
That's why it was split in the middle and powdered. They were like, that'll do. Is people still do it? Yes, still a look.
Yeah. So they have, the last category is what I call the sexism bonus. And this is where I say, I give bonus points to people who maybe could have accomplished more had they not been living under the patriarchy. But I think these two, like other than the beginning of their life, like it didn't, it's not a high score. Like I think they found ways to live their truth within the confines of patriarchal society.
Yeah. I mean, because what they needed as women is they needed the money from their families. They still needed to be respectable within that patriarchal society, which is why they never went, we're lesbians. They're just like, we love each other as people love. But even that's something we actually forget about today, is that even back then, like same-sex friendships, you would still say, they would still talk about love and how they loved each other, and that was a very normal thing. So so because that president was already there, it's not exactly been like scandal, shock, and horror. So it did make them easier for them in a sense. But being a spinster was typically seen as an odd thing anyway. But they managed to thrive one way or the other. So
that's the thing. They for sure, like they needed the support of their male relatives because women couldn't own property and things like that. But they made it work, but they did still need that help. So I feel this is like a 2 or a 3 or something.
Yeah, it's fairly low on that scale. Fairly low.
I think so. So let me see. So this is a 23 out of 40 is their total score. And I do want to say, in terms of this series and choosing the diamond of the season, so like on Dancing with the Stars, Strictly Come Dancing, there's a judges score, but there's going to also be the audience score. So everybody's coming into this with our judges score, and then later the listeners will vote on who is. I would love it if the Ladies of Llangollen win diamond of the season. I think they would show up to the ball in their cravats, like
a frilled shirt and a cravat,
the powdered bowl cut hair.
Fab.
Oh my gosh. It's just so funny that Ann Lister was like, oh, what a strange outfit they're wearing. Like, bitch, what are you wearing? Like, what are you talking about?
Like, honey, no.
I've seen your hairstyle, Ann Lister. Like, you had portraits taken and your hair is bananas. And you're like, oh, look at them with their powdered hair. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get some, firstly, my cat is trying to jump on the keyboard, so I'm keeping her at bay. Secondly, I'm trying to find some notable people who have a similar score. To let you know, Jane Austen has a 22, Ladies of Llangollen 23. So this is the Regency neighborhood. Hepburn the cat.
Hello, meow.
40 out of 40 for you, my darling. But yeah, so because also, like, similarly, Jane Austen found ways to thrive in a patriarchal society, and she lived a pretty low-key life. I do not know if Jane Austen ever wrote about the Ladies of Llangollen, but I'm sure she would have known about them because everybody did. So, Katie, thank you so much. I could not have done this without you, and I couldn't think of a better topic to talk about with you. And can you let everybody know how, if there's one person listening who doesn't know who you are and where to find you on the internet, where can they find you and listen to your podcast and watch your videos and things?
You can find me. I'm just watching a cat go across the screen. You can find me on most of the social medias. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, other places, TikTok. So on TikTok and Facebook, I'm still in as Who Did What Now Pod. But on Instagram and Threads, I am under my actual name, Katie Charlwood. You can also find my podcast, Who Did What Now, the history podcast that is not your history class, on every major podcasting app that is not YouTube. So that's where you can find me.
And they can also find you in person doing live shows every now and then. And where can they find that information?
Oh, so that is on my website, whodidwhatnowpod.com. So there's currently a little European, I say European, it's basically currently the UK and Ireland at the moment while I'm getting things together. And next year we're hoping to do, I say we, as if I'm not the only person involved in this, a special tour called Oops, I'm in Canada, where I'm going to try and find lots of small venues. I've got a few already on a list. I have a spreadsheet. It's very organized. And it's basically run about before winter sets in, because I don't need to be that level of cold. Because Canada, no, I love you, but I'm already bad enough.
I will say, as a person in Canada, while there is enthusiasm to go to live events in the winter, we get like the ladies and we just stay in our houses and just think about interior design for the cold. If you want audiences, you don't.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go when it's not too cold. That's my goal. So if I don't get it into fully fruition by the end of next year, it will be the beginning of the following year. But the plans are being laid for and it's literally all these small venues and these sort of smaller towns, not a few border towns as well for close to the US, so that it's basically I'm trying to get to the places where people normally have to travel out of to get to somewhere, just because I think it's more fun to have a lot of these small little tours over like 10 days for a certain region, and then I'll be gone for another 2 weeks, and then I'll come back for another 2 weeks. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to be very tired, but I've heard there's good food in Canada, so I'm very happy.
There's very good food in Canada, and I have to imagine that we'll be able to meet up at one of these stops, presumably. And hopefully, next year, maybe we can have our long-awaited Carolina Brunswick pub, Carolina Brunswick live episode.
It's great because I do have contacts for the Carolina Brunswick, so
I mean, it's happening. Yes. It's just like when. I just need to confirm when my book is being published there, and then we can proceed. Mm-hmm. But that's the other thing too. I've been coming across Lord Byron. Everyone has him as a dinner guest, but Carolina Brunswick's husband, George, everybody was going to Brighton to hang out with him. Like that was just, it's like you had Byron at your dinner, then you go to Brighton to hang out with this guy. And these two men were just like terrorizing the Regency. And no wonder the ladies of Llangollen are like, we're never leaving our little cottage.
Yeah, we're happy here.
There's gross men everywhere. And we don't like that.
No.
I think Hepburn thinks it's time for me to go. So I will just let listeners know that you can follow me on social media at Vulgar History Pod everywhere. And you can find out about my book, Rebel of the Regency, The Scandalous Saga of Carolina Brunswick, Britain's Uncrowned Queen. All the information is at rebeloftheregency.com, and everybody should pre-order it. And it's coming out in North America in February, and it's coming out in the UK and Ireland, ? Hopefully then too. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm super appreciate this. Couldn't have done it without you. Next time I need some words pronounced, I know who to ask.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Vulgar History is researched, scripted, and hosted by Anne Foster. Editor is Christina Lumagi. Theme music is by the Severn Duo. Regency-era artwork by Karen Moynihan. Social media videos by Magdalena Denson. Transcripts of this podcast are available at vulgarhistory.com by Aveline Malik. You can get early, ad-free episodes of Vulgar History by becoming a paid member of our Patreon at patreon.com/AnneFosterWriter. Vulgar History merchandise is available at vulgarhistory.com/store for Americans and at vulgarhistory.redbubble.com for everyone else. Follow us on social media at Vulgar History Pod. Get in touch with me at vulgarhistorypod@gmail.com.
From the darkest corners of our imagination comes a game show that's more ridiculous than terrifying. Welcome to Tickled to Death, the horror comedy game show where nothing is sacred, everything's a little unhinged, and the only thing more cursed than the questions are the jokes. I'm Roz Hernandez, your fearless host, and each week I'll be leading a brave group of guests through twisted horror trivia, improv games, and enough sarcastic banter to make you question all your life's choices. So come for the screams, stay for the snark. Listen to Tickled to Death wherever you get your podcasts, and hit follow unless you want the show to follow you. In the meantime, don't get tickled to death.
There are names that echo in the world of true crime, names that carry unanswered questions. Oakley Carlson, a 5-year-old girl who deserved safety, protection, and love, yet the system built to protect her failed, and Oakley disappeared. Her community still calls her name.
Or Ellen Greenberg, found in her locked apartment with 20 stab wounds, a case declared a suicide. But how does a locked apartment tell two different stories at once?
These are not just cases we have covered. They are people. They were loved, and they mattered.
Their stories deserve to be told with care, with depth, with truth.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ricky.
We are the husband and wife duo behind Crime Salad.
Every week we uncover stories of the missing, the silenced, the misunderstood. We ask the questions that were left behind. We refuse to let these stories be forgotten.
Because behind every case is a family holding on, a community seeking answers, and a story that deserves to be heard.
We invite you to listen to Crime Salad,
Your healthy portion of true crime, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Tom.
Okay, so you want to tell him, or you want me to tell him?
No. I got this. I want people out there.
Yeah.
People, lean in. Get close. Listen, here's the deal.
We have big news.
We got monumental news. We got snacktacular news.
Yeah, after a brief hiatus, my good friend Michael Ian Black and I are coming back.
My good friend Tom Cavanaugh and I are coming back to do what we do best.
What we were put on this earth to do.
To pick a snack.
To eat a snack.
And to rate a snack.
Scientifically.
Emotionally.
Spiritually.
Mates is back.
Mike and Tom Eat Snacks is back.
A podcast for anyone with a mouth.
With a mouth. Available wherever you get your podcasts.